Welcome to DowerChin.com. Today we're going to take a look at the Asus Vivotab Note 8. And I'm pretty excited about this product because like the Dell Venue Windows tablet, this is a similar type of system. It's a small 8-inch form factor, Atom processor based Windows 8.1, full Windows 8.1 tablet. What makes it special, obviously, is that it actually has a Wacom Stylus built into it. Looks similar to like what you would find with a Samsung Note with an S Pen. So let's take a look at what this thing's got. So we're gonna open it up and I'm gonna take a look at what you get in the box. All right, so open it up. You open it up and there it is. So here's the tablet. What do we get inside is the tablet, nice packaged up. Get let's see, quick start guide, all sorts of documentation here. Looks like warranty stuff. Yeah, you got the full version of Office on here, which is kind of nice, and more cards for stuff. And what you get is a micro USB charging cable and a micro USB charger. That's it. So very similar to what you get with the Venue. It's pretty much just a tablet and power adapter and stuff. So let's put that to the side for a bit. Let's open this up. All right, get this out of here. All right, it actually does look very similar face-wise to the Venue. We're looking at it real quick. Looks like a volume rocker, power button. You have up top here the headphone jack. This is where the micro USB connector goes. You have a slot for a micro USB. Oh no, sorry, micro SD card slot. And I believe this is the home button here. So unlike the Dell had the home button up on top, it's on the side over here. Got front camera, back camera, and that's about it. Right here, this is what makes it sets it all apart. The S Pen or the Wacom pen. So there you have it, nicely docks into the side of the device like so. And all right, there you have it. So all right, so I'm gonna power this guy on. I'm gonna configure it, and we'll take a look at it and maybe do some comparisons with some other tablets that would be in its same category. So now I've had a chance to spend a few days with the device and configured it and everything. And so what I'm going to do in this video is strictly talk about the device by itself. I will do future videos where I'll compare it with my other tablets. But we're going to concentrate on it on this one by itself for now. We'll do a quick overview once again what's on the device, physically speaking. We have on the right side your power button, volume rockers. On top you have your headphone jack and your micro USB connector, which is mainly going to be used for charging the device, and if you have a special connector, attaching peripherals. On the left side you have your Windows home button and the micro SD card slot. And on the front side you have your 1.2 megapixel camera. Back side you have your wonderful Asus logo and the 5 megapixel non-flash enabled camera. The machine itself comes with 2 speakers, one on top, one on the bottom, and so it gives it a decent set of sound. The one I'm looking at right now is the 32 gigabyte model. Once you have it out of the box and set up, you will have about 16 gigabytes of storage to use on the device. The 32 gigabyte version seems to come with at least mine did, a 8 gigabyte micro SD card slot already installed that actually has a recovery image for the system, which is kind of nice. But then you sort of need it because, well, you only have 16 gigabytes once you get it all ready to go. The 64 gigabyte version, once you get it all set up, has roughly about 37 gigabytes of usable space. So, all right, so what do I have on here? Well, it comes with Office. I didn't configure it because I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping it or not. But you get a serial number in the box for activating Office. I threw on Sketchbook Pro. I actually put Photoshop CC on here, the latest version from Creative Cloud, and a few other applications on here. I threw some PDFs on here to take a look at, and that's about it for now. So let's really quickly go over some of the things that you can use with it. Well, we'll look at a PDF first. This is about a 70 megabyte PDF. It's an Image FX magazine I picked up, and you see the colors are pretty nice on here. This is a 1280 by 800 display. So it's a WXGA display. It seems to have some pretty nice color to it. It does seem a little dull compared to some of my other tablets, like the Galaxy Note 8 that I have. But you know, but it is still pleasurable to look at. Now, it seems this is using the default Windows PDF reader, which is kind of nice that it actually comes with one. You don't actually have to grab the Adobe one from the store if you don't want to. Unlike the Samsung device, which doesn't really have a reader that you can get, that's in the box anyway. You can get one. You can easily get them off the store, but unlike that, you actually have one ready to go. So this is a 70 megabyte PDF file, and as you can see, it's chunking through it without much difficulty. The Bay Trail processor here, the Atom processor on here, the Z3740 quad core, running at 1.3 gigahertz, is handling it quite nicely. The system itself has only 2 gigabytes of RAM, and I haven't really ran into any major issues running anything. And you can see it handles the PDF without a problem. Now, on a few occasions when I was playing around with this, I did manage to get it to choke a bit on some of these. I can't really explain why. Maybe something got stuck in the memory where it got bogged down. But as you can see from here, it seems to work quite nicely, where you can kind of zoom in to read things, and handles it quite nicely. So that's that. That's a PDF. The other things you can look at is, say, videos. So the default Windows media player that's in here, you can play back videos just fine. So this is one of my videos.
Today we're going to take a look at a case for the Galaxy Note 3. This right here is the Fliptronics Black Panther leather case.
So the volume is
once again for the
pretty
Galaxy
much
Note
as high
3.
as it is.
And so what this is a finely crafted leather case with some very nice stitching around the perimeter of the cape.
So you can see it plays videos just fine. Oops. Now besides seeing a video of myself, you can look at actual like the Transformers upcoming Transformers trailer. Let's see what that's like. Besides just hearing my own voice. Let's just skip through a little bit of it.
I think we just found a transformer. Dad! I'm gonna ask you this once. Where is Optimus Prime?
Yeah, we got a rule about messing with people from Texas.
So the colors seem pretty good, and video playback doesn't seem to have much problems. Nice thing about this, of course, with the Windows Store, you can grab Netflix and other applications, and having full Windows on here, you have access to installing whatever you want on here. So you can go to Amazon streaming videos, Hulu Plus, whatever, right from the browser, and it'll work just fine. So that's a real nice thing about it. So the big deal about this tablet that sets it apart from the Dell Venue Pro or the Lenovo Mix and those other ones is the fact that this one actually has built into the bottom a Wacom tablet, Wacom pen, and the whole thing is a Wacom digitizer. And so you can see that basically with it you can draw. So using programs like OneNote, for example, you can sketch to your heart's desire. You can take notes like, I'm in a meeting, and for the most part for OneNote, it's perfectly adequate for OneNote. Now for the artists out there that want to draw, you may want to think about, well, how is it going to work with stuff like Sketchbook Pro or even Photoshop? So let's just look at Sketchbook Pro real quick here. Get that to run. I got the trial version running over here. So you can use it in whichever format. I think it usually works better this way, I think. But you can see from here, you have use the default pencil tool. and it has, you can sort of see the pressure sensitivity in here. It's not a lot, and the differentiation is only so. The major issue I ran into with the Wacom on this device is that unlike the Surface Pro, you can't, well, the feel it drivers that Wacom provide, you can get off Wacom's website, don't work right on here. Or at least for programs like Sketchbook Pro, they should be fine. The only reason why you would want to install those drivers is you can actually adjust the sensitivity of the stylus for applications, and also program the little top button here to do other things. Um, in Photoshop, the axis is inverted, and that's kind of a problem. So you don't really want to have them. I don't know whose fault it is. I don't know if it's Wacom's fault for the drivers or if it's something the Asus did, but it's really interesting because I have the Feel It drivers installed on a Surface Pro, and it's fine. And I've had it installed on my old Asus Slate, and it's fine. And so don't know what to say about that. So, but for programs like Sketchbook Pro, it works pretty. The stylus is adequate. It's not something to write home. It's not the greatest stylus in the world. And the nice thing about it is you can always use, say, like for example, you have a Surface Pro. Here's a stylus from the Surface Pro, and this will work too. The only thing you might run into is that ooh, look at that. That's interesting. The only thing you might run into is that the pointer may not drift to the right spot on the pen, which may be a problem. But the nice thing about it, because Windows, you can always pop over to the control panels and into the hardware sound settings, and there's an option to calibrate the pen for the screen, which is kind of cool. Because then, basically, simply doing one of these and tapping in the corners, and voila, it actually is a little bit better. So, and with the other pens, like the full Surface Pro one, it actually gives you a little bit finer pressure sensitivity than you would get with this little tiny guy. And plus, you're gonna get cramped up after a while because it's kind of thin and light versus a little bit more of a regular pen. So something to consider. But once again, unlike the Surface Pro, you can't put this inside the device. This, however, will tuck neatly into this little slot over here, and you're good to go. Some people have complained it's hard to get it out, and at first, when I first got it, it was a bit tight, but it's kind of loosened up over the course of the time I've had it. So, all right, big thing to look for is obviously, let's look at Photoshop. Now, the question I had before is, well, when I first got this, is an Atom processor with 2 GB of memory enough to run Photoshop? And for the most part, it seems like it does seem to work. Now, you may, I'm not working with really large files. So, for example, this is a illustration from the Image FX magazine, and oops, go away, stop. And let's get the pen out real quick so take a look-see. And for the most part, it does seem to work okay. Now I can basically go ahead and create. Now the one thing you're going to run to, I've run into with some of these Wacom enabled tablets is in the corners it gets kind of lost. So you can see that I'm at the corner, and the little, if you can see the dot, it doesn't quite reach the bottom. And that's where your finger comes in to say I want to make a new layer. There we go. So now a new layer now. I can go to the brush tool, and I can, let's see, tweak the size a little bit so it's not so big. So let's go from there, and I'll pick a color instead of using black. So from here, now the pressure sensitivity is a little wonky or non-existent. The latest version of Photoshop CC actually has a setting which you have to manually put in to configure it to use pressure and not rely on the Feel It drivers. That's something that's new to Photoshop CC, I think the 14.1 version that came out about a month ago. But even with that, one of the shortcomings with the built-in stylus is that the pressure is kind of missing. It's almost like soft and hard. There's really very little granularity with the the pen that comes with the Surface gives you a little bit more control. So I think it's more of an issue with the pen more than the digitizer itself. So something to consider when you're looking at this thing. All right, so the so there you have it. So that's kind of looking at Photoshop, and you see it kind of runs really without much lag. Now it may you may run into bigger problems if you're running with really large images, but you may not want to do that anyway. But this is kind of a nice little tablet for on-the-go work. If you want to do some pixel illustrations or pixel drawings, or some moderately resolutioned images to look at. So now, as far as peripherals go, I got a lot of flack from my Dell Venue review because I was complaining about the fact that Dell didn't give you a cable for here, and Asus did not give you the same cable either. The cable I was complaining about was this thing. This is what they call an OTG cable. It's an on-the-go cable, they call it. And all it really is, it's a converter from a male micro USB connector to a female full-size USB connector. Now, obviously, with my other review, I did not intend to say that they should put a full-size USB port on this thing. That's not possible. This thing's thinner than a full-size USB port. But this is a small cable that will run you anywhere from $2 to $10. And it would have been nice for them to include it, because when you're transferring files on this thing, you can't treat it like a regular tablet, like an Android tablet, where you would say, oh, I'll take my micro USB plug it in on one side, plug it into my laptop, and it will mount, and I can drag those stuff onto it. That's not the case. This is still very much like a laptop in tablet form, and so this connector is strictly for charging, unless you have one of these, which then basically you can plug in like so on top, and once it's in, now you have access to things like, say, hey, I got a thumb drive. I can plug the thumb drive in, then it mounts like a normal Windows machine, and it actually even works with drives like this. This is my Western Digital Passport. It's 2 terabytes, and it works. Basically plug it in like this, so, and when you turn the device on, and basically hear the I've mounted a device sound. And voila, you see that basically I have to repair my drive. Well, you get the point. Basically, the drive itself is mountable now, and you can transfer files to it. If you don't have this, you're going to be relegated to basically either using stuff on a micro SD card to transfer files, or you're going to be using Wi-Fi. And for the most part, the Wi-Fi does work, but sometimes I've had issues where the Wi-Fi became limited on wake up. And the only resolution there is to restart the machine, and sometimes it doesn't pick up. Sometimes it's hit or miss on these. I had the same problem with the Dell. I don't know, it's just maybe the Broadcom card they put in these little devices. It's just something that I ran into that you should probably just be aware of. So that's my look at the Asus Vivotab Note 8. Overall, I kind of like it. It's a $330 tablet for the 32GB version, and it's quite nice. I mean, it runs full Windows, and so in a nice little, and Windows 8 conforms itself nicely to this form factor. Oh, before I forget, it's not the Pro version of Windows 8.1. It is Windows 8.1. And it's a 32-bit version, so you're not going to be able to run 64-bit software on there. But it won't really matter because you only have 2 GB of memory anyway. So, but it is full Windows though. It's not RT, so you can put whatever you want on here. So you can put the VLC viewer on here for media playback. You can probably run Steam on here for some games. Good old games for old style games will probably work fine. DOSBox, those kind of things will probably run just fine on this thing. This thing also has support for Miracast, which is basically similar to Apple's AirPlay, where basically if you have a little adapter, which Asus does make for themselves, or you can buy some other third-party ones to basically broadcast your video from here onto a television. So it has a lot of flexibility in that sense. So for $330, it's not a bad device. Once again, the stylus is not the greatest stylus in the world, but it's functionable. Nice thing is if you had a third-party stylus or some of the other ones like this one, my old executive pen here, they'll work fine. They may be a little bit off at first, but if you calibrate it, you'll be pretty good to go. You can always team it up with a keyboard, like say this guy right here, and you can basically do what you need to. One last note about the camera. Yeah, it's not the greatest camera in the world, but you know, if you're going to use it for something, to say like if you sketch something, you want to take a snapshot of it to load it into Sketchbook or Photoshop, it's perfectly adequate for that. I'm not sure how much home movie making you'll make with it, but you know, it's nice to have the option of having a camera on it. So now, if you have any questions, or if I might have missed something, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll do what I can to answer questions. But otherwise, thanks for watching.